Constitutional Court, not me, because I said so, but the Constitutional Court, that all of us, we said we pledge allegiance to our Constitution, and how the Dutch are telling us, we don't care what your Constitutional Court said. Because basically that is what they're saying. We don't care because you have an agreement with us, and by the hook or the crook, you are going to carry out that agreement. So that is where we are. Now, should I panic because the Dutch members of the committee said, we condemn what the Prime Minister said because we live in a state of law? Yes, and the law is the Constitution, and the Constitutional Court that is there to make sure that each and every one of us, whether you're the Prime Minister or the Parliament, whether you're the Council of Ministers, if you do something in violation of the Constitution, we will tell you. And we have agreed to respect the decision of our Constitutional Court. So to tell me today that because I am saying, and I would say it again, the intention of the Dutch government to impose a measure of supervision on St. Martin, to force St. Martin to put an integrity chamber in place, is wrong. It is unconstitutional. Now, a professor, I realized in the front page of one of the newspapers yesterday, in an article that appeared in the Dutch press, a professor of law, not a friend of mine, not somebody who grew up in the region, or somebody who grew up in Dutch Quarter or Colbert Simpson Bay, not somebody who works here, not somebody in the government payroll. Somebody, a law professor, looked at the developments and he said, hey, boo, guys, Holland, are you wrong? It is wrong. Why don't the parliament, the Dutch parliament, call him in, he's a Dutch law professor, and say what it is you seeing that we don't see? Because what am I saying when I say bring in the troops? If you are going to might over right, whether we are wrong or not, that integrity chamber is going to come, and then for them, that's law. So I have to abide by it and bow and say, yes, master, integrity chamber come. And I said, no, then you have to bring the troops. I didn't say we're going to war, because if you want the integrity chamber to work, you won't get my cooperation. You won't get my cooperation. And with me, I'm not only saying the cooperation of William Allen, the cooperation of all of us. You won't get it. So for you to enforce your law that you're imposing on me, you got to bring your troops to execute it. You got to bring your troops to execute it. But if tomorrow, the Constitutional Court or the Council of State says, well, we have reviewed this thing, and St. Martin, you're actually wrong. Yes, we respect the law. I respect the law. They say you're wrong, you're wrong. If they say you're wrong, you're wrong. Now, I don't want to carry this thing too far, but one of the things that they're trying to insinuate is, oh, the Prime Minister, he's bad because he is saying he doesn't respect the law, and we can't have that because in a democracy where we live by the rule of law, can you imagine a Prime Minister not wanting to live by the rule of law? The law, years ago, said that certain people couldn't ride in the front of the bus, and they had to stand up to give other people the right to sit in the bus. And a little lady, Rosa Parks, she defied the law. She defied the law, and change came. And there's a movie now, I forgot the name of the movie, with the 4 ladies that worked at NASA. And if we continue always because we don't agree with those who are enforcing something upon you, but we got to be good, we got to behave, we got to be docile, things will not change. Is this how I wanted to be Prime Minister? Is this the governing program that we have made? Check our governing program, integrity at the top of the list. But I don't want to spend the next 6 months back and forth arguing, and that is why back then I said, I put this to rest, we'll discuss it. Next week, Tuesday, at 9 o'clock in the morning, 9 or 9:30, we will begin presenting the year plans to Parliament. One minister after the other, we will present our year plan. We have presented our budget, we have presented our governing program, now we are presenting our year plans. This is what each ministry plans to do. And I don't intend to spend all my energy arguing with what the Dutch chamber thinks about statements that I make, because it would be interesting to debate whether in our parliament or the Dutch second chamber, the statement made by the chairman of the Kingdom Council of Ministers, the Dutch Prime Minister, to another colleague minister in the kingdom. Because if we are 4 equal countries in the kingdom, another colleague country, you are telling him, if you do not accept it, step out of the kingdom. Now debate that. Debate that. And tell me then if you agree. Tell me if the Dutch Committee on Kingdom Relations, if they agree or if they condemn the statements made. Because they didn't hear me make it. They read it in the newspapers or they saw it on the press briefing. But I said it in the press briefing in Holland. This is what the Dutch Prime Minister said to me. Have they debated it? So only the statement made by William Allen in St. Martin is up for debate? If you're going to debate one, debate all. And since you're having a debate on the entire issue, debate the position of a Dutch law professor. And I can also put forward information that I have received, didn't solicit it, didn't ask it, from prominent lawyers in our region as well, who said, Mr. Marlin, if you need our support, we are willing to help you because what the Dutch is doing is wrong. And wrong is wrong. So I will stick to my statement. If they want to force an integrity chamber down our throat, knowing that it is wrong, then they got to bring the troops.
It's Carnival time again, and here are a few tips you need to remember.
Keep your children close to you at all times and don't allow them to become separated from you. Pay attention to persons walking in front and behind you, especially in crowded places favorable for pickpockets. When returning to your vehicle or your home, have your keys in your hands ready to open the door.
This public service announcement was brought to you by the Police Force of St. Martin and the Department of Communication.
Good morning, Cedric. Good morning, ministers. Minister Marlin, I start off with you. You gave all backup as to what transpired in the Netherlands. What concerns me most is the statement made by the Prime Minister, Mark Rutte. Just 2 days ago, I believe it is, St. Eustatius made a bold move by sending a letter to the kingdom informing them that they are now going to self-govern. And the UN Charter is very clear on that. Are you considering that? You got an invitation to step out if you do not want to bow to the Dutch. Are you considering what St. Eustatius did?
Maybe one of the things that I've said is that the kingdom doesn't belong to the Prime Minister of the Netherlands. So he can tell anybody whatever they want. He can't put not St. Eustatius, not St. Martin, not Saba, Curaçao, or Aruba out of the kingdom. It is not his to decide who will stay in, who will get out. Secondly, there was no referendum in St. Martin held whereby the people gave a mandate to their government to negotiate, arrange independence for them. I've said it here already once before. It is not my call to make. I think it was in Holland I answered that question. I just remember. It is not my call to make. But if the people of St. Martin vote for independence, then that is what it will be. And I don't think, and I'm not making this now an independence discussion, because I did not take on the responsibility of leading this government for the next 4 years. In the next 4 years, in our governing program, nowhere the word independence is mentioned as a pursuit of this government. We have so many things to do. We have so many priorities. I'm trying to set the priorities. It's almost like if you list them this way, you list them that way, or this way, everything, no matter how you hold the paper, is a top priority. The prison is a top priority. The dump is a top priority. Balancing our financial household is a priority. Dealing with our government companies is a priority. Crime is a priority. Education is a priority. Priority. We got to get our economy moving. Our tourism product has to improve. We have to fix back street. We got to fix front street. We got to fix so many streets. We got to fix this. We got to fix that. In the line of things to fix, we acknowledge, because that's one of the things I got to say up front as well. We acknowledge we have to fix integrity because it's our responsibility. But Holland has to fix their integrity too. And Washington has to fix theirs. And Korea has to fix theirs. And Japan has to fix theirs. The Dutch government has no right, given the circumstances. Because like I said at the press briefing, if somebody wanted to give us an instruction to fix our government building 3 years ago, they were totally right. They were in their rights to say, Martin, what are you doing about the government building? It's standing there, you need to fix it, move it, because you're wasting money. But you can't, if it was your intention 3 years ago to say it today and believe it is valid. Are there things that need fixing in here? Yes. You just heard the noise. We are still fixing things. But the situation of 3 years ago does not exist today. And the circumstances that led to this discussion in 2014 and 15 have changed. St. Martin was one of, if you want to call it, the worst countries internationally when it came to human trafficking and smuggling. St. Martin made some changes. St. Martin put some laws in place, put some regulations in place. And by the last report, St. Martin is at the top countries that are dealing with human trafficking and human smuggling. But what do? In 2017, you don't use the report of 2016. You use the report of 2014 to say, hey, St. Martin, things are bad. St. Martin, things are bad. And so therefore I'm saying it is not something on my agenda to say I'm pursuing, but it's not something would scare me off. And so, well, the Dutch want you to become independent, so you got to behave yourself and accept it. No.
Thank you, Prime Minister Marlin. Minister Dunker, I have two questions for you. I know you just took office, but I also knew that you were in the cabinet, and I'm sure that you were briefed on this. So I'm going to ask you these questions and see if you are able to give me some answers. The appointment of the PJIE director, where are we with that?
I have not met with the polling board as yet since I've been in office, which I intend to do hopefully after the Easter season. By then, I can pretty much give an update on the status of that.
My third question to you, Minister. When the Minister of VSR represented government at the CHA meeting in the Bahamas, is it true that he made a commitment to Sunwing, promising them $200,000 so that they can improve their flight fare or market better? Because I'm understanding that Sunwing is now demanding this $200,000.
To my knowledge, there has been no commitment. There has been no commitment with Sunwing to date in reference to the $200,000. The statement that you heard reference to Minister Lee. There's nothing on hand at the moment where that's concerned. Nothing.
Thank you very much for your questions, Bibi. Andrew, Daily Herald, you have the floor. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Minister Doncher, can you give us an update on the bus association? They said that they were to meet with you concerning the coloring code for the routes. Any update when that's concerned?
I have not met with the bus association as yet. No.
Okay, you plan to?
Indeed. Definitely.
Okay. Minister Gibson, can we get an update on the preparations for the 2018 budget?
Of course, good morning. The 2018 budget, which we plan to have ready prior to September this year. In fact, we're aiming for July, August. But like all good plans, things sometimes go awry. We were having some IT difficulties. That is quite a challenge that we have to overcome to be able to get our time plan back on track. Not only that, the 2018 budget will also depend on some measures, revenue increasing measures that will have to be in place probably before the end of this year to be able to include them in revenues for 2018. Up to now, that still looks good. But again, you know, my mother always tell me that the road to hell is always paved with good intentions. But nevertheless, those good intentions are there.
Yes, thank you, Minister. Minister Bosman, the ACPOL program, we back at it again. I know that you said you were going to speak to the management of the police concerning that. Any update where that's concerned?
Yes, the ACPOL program, we're very interested in using the ACPOL program. There are some issues that still under discussion as to how the ACPOL program would be managed, administered. Right now, it is a situation, we have to separate two things, the use, the program itself, the use of the program, and how the program is managed. And up to present, it was a situation by which there is a management company, to call it that, that was appointed to do the management of the program. And in the past, it seemed that on more than one occasion, I think at least two occasions, St. Martin was disconnected from the program due to non-payment. Again, two issues. Was there a question of non-payment? Was St. Martin in default for not paying? And two, if that was the case, how would you deal with it? In checking it further, St. Martin was not in default. There was no commitment to be paid. And as a matter of fact, in a meeting that I had some time ago, confirmation was received from that management company that St. Martin has zero arrears. So if we continue, we are starting fresh without owing anything. That has been established already. But then the point remains that even though if St. Martin had owed money, was disconnecting St. Martin from the system the way to go about it? We are talking about a system by which all the law enforcement entities are connected. Our data, everything would be in that system. And I don't think it is wise, I don't think it's healthy that a company, be it in The Hague, Willemstad, wherever, would be able to pull the plug on us at will for whatever reason. And that is not the way then that cooperation should be. This concern was brought forward. We are still looking at a situation. We want to use the program, but we are looking at if that program can be used under our own management. So that's why it has not been finalized yet. And should we still decide to go along with that management company, then there should be guarantees that it would never be possible for anybody to pull the plug on it for whatever the reason. So that is as far as we are. We are still talking. I'm hopeful that soon we would be able to make a final decision on it, but I'm not rushing to make a decision and then regret it afterwards. So that's basically where we are right now.
Let's begin our second round of questions. Bibi Shaw, you have the floor.
Minister Dunker, I don't know if you understood my question well when I asked you about the 200,000 guilders. What I'm asking you is specific. Did you or anybody in the cabinet received an email from Sunwing asking for this $200,000 that were allegedly promised to them?
STB is in negotiations with Sunwing. They are busy negotiating their 2017, actually finalizing their 2017-2018 agreements. The discussions are still ongoing with the amounts, which I do not have a definite figure about, but it is an ongoing agreement that's processing at the moment.
Thank you, Minister. Minister Boseman, when you made the change at the prison, you said it was a 3-month, the people that are there to the change management, the 2 people that are there selected to calm the prison down. It was for a period of 3 months. Have you started some sort of selection program to get the right people or enough people to put a proper management in place for the prison? You said it's calm now, but after the 3 months expired, will you have people in line to take up the positions?
Okay, just a correction. I don't think that what I said was that the people would be there for 3 months. I said that in placing them there, that I estimate the assignment, the initial assignment, the first assignment was to normalize the situation, to carry it from a tense crisis situation back to the normal levels of operation and risk that would exist in such an institution. And a period of 3 months has been estimated that would take. If I would make reference, for instance, to some of the things in the verdict of the judge, some of them, the shortest period was 3 months after the verdict. So not 3 months from when I started, but 3 months after the verdict. And some even go up to 12 months. But the initial 3 months would be to normalize the situation, that you can continue to do the things, the normal things that you should be doing in the prison. So the 3 months is not tied to, and as far as I know, no reference was made that the 2 gentlemen would be there for 3 months. It was to normalize. We expected that the situation would be normalized within a period of 3 months.
Thank you, Minister, for the clarification. Prime Minister Marlin, I think it was Monday afternoon or sometime on Monday, total shutdown on internet in government. The departments are not able to work, no emails, sites not being able, they're not able to access, civil servants are up to there. Can you tell us, give us a status report as to when this problem will be fixed? Because prior to that, you had 2 hacking.
I missed something you said on Monday. There was a total shutdown.
A memo was sent that all sites will be shut down, and that department heads under SGs have to send the list of sites that they want whitelisted. So what I'm understanding is that civil servants are not able to work because they cannot access certain sites because of the internet problem. And prior to that, you have said that there were 2 hackings before. You even said there was a report out. A complaint was going to be filed at the prosecutor's office. Can you give us a status report and tell us when will this problem regarding the internet within government will be normalized?
As soon as it is normalized, it will be normalized. The flight will take off when the flight takes off. No, you're asking me an extremely loaded and difficult question. I do not know. It's a work in progress. There are things that need to happen. There are researches that need to be made. There are proposals that need to be submitted, need to be approved, and need to be carried out. It is not as easy as one would think. It is not a floor that flood from water, and you're asking me when am I going to mop it up. The problems that we have are bigger than, it would appear in a simple question like this. One of the measures that the IT department has taken, and it was not done without consultations with the Council of Ministers, we have a system that is wide open in the sense that civil servants can go on any and every site, and indications were that the virus that came in, let's say from, they know the computers that it came in on. If the user of the computer maliciously infected it, no, that is not yet the indication at least, but that needs to be researched. But what happens, people go and get all kind of mail. There are people who get mail that says, you've won 100 million in a lottery. Some people, idle, bored, they open it, click, boom, virus enters. Some people go on other sites looking for God knows what, boom, a virus can enter. So to minimize the impact of it and the risk of it, now there are people who tell you, nonsense. Government's supposed to be able to protect themselves better than that. But as long as you don't have the protection in place, you can't leave it wide open. You can't leave it wide open. So this is what has happened.
Thank you very much for your questions. Bibi, Andrew?
Yes, Minister Gibson, has government identified any project to use a loan available with CFT's permission? I know that you mentioned that you were going to identify certain projects.
No, I think you misunderstood what was being said. Now that the budget is balanced, CFT will approve loans for capital expenditures. There are capital expenditures that have already been approved by Parliament when the budget was passed. The total amount of those capital expenditures was 78 or 74 million guilders. CFT, however, will only allow loans for capital expenditures to the tune of 30 million guilders. So it means that the capital expenditure list approved by Parliament needs to be adjusted downwards to fit, and priorities have to be selected up to 30 million. So that's the process that we're going through now to identify which of those projects will be used to submit the request to CFT for loans for those capital expenditures.
Okay, so the project is, the selection is still being done?
It's almost,
Almost.
we hope to be able to finish it today.
Okay. Just a clarification, Minister Bosman, the ACPOL again. So we are going to continue using it and not go into an in-house program, because I remember that the management was going to come with their own program. But now that you're saying that everything was cleared up, are we going to just continue with the program, ACPOL?
There are different programs. There are different software that is being used within the Justice Ministry. ACTPOL is one specifically for like police, immigration, etc., the law enforcement. The preference would be to use ACTPOL once we can safely get that, what I mentioned, the management thereof, regulated in a satisfactory way for St. Martin. And a second option would be still to use that particular program if possible under our own